Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Charles Brown. That's me. I'm the course leader for the MA Media Management, and I'm also cluster leader for the Centre for Creative Industries Management. The Centre for Creative Industries Management is the department that you would be part of if you were to join either of the courses that I'm talking to you about today. Without further ado, first of all, I'll say a little bit about myself. I was responsible for setting up the MA Media Management over 12 years ago now, and I lead the course and teach alongside a team of experienced industry professionals. My background is as a journalist, as a manager of digital media companies, and as an advisor to international media organisations. The kind of organisations I've worked for include the BBC, HBO, Disney, NBC, ABC, Cap Cities, and many others over the years. What makes the media management at our faculty, the University of Westminster School of Media Arts and Design, so special? I think first of all we are one of the pioneers in providing media management education, certainly in Europe. We were one of the very early universities to provide a course in this area. We combine a critical approach which represents the style of Westminster's approach to media in general. You may not be aware of this, but Westminster was one of the pioneers in media studies back in the 1960s and early 70s. We were largely responsible for defining the shape and form of media studies and communication studies education in the United Kingdom. And the kind of critical approach that we adopt on all of our courses carries on through into how we teach media management at Westminster. But we are also a very practical course. All of our staff members have got experience of working inside media organisations, and the content of the course is entirely geared towards the kind of problem-solving skills and the kind of solution-oriented approaches that you will need if you are to work within the media industries. Of course, some of you may already have experience of working inside media organisations, and one of the things that we can do on this course is to help you hone your skills and advance your career in media management. So when you come on the programme, expect to be working with students that have anything from a year or so's experience through to many years working inside media, communications and content. We have a global perspective on the challenges of media management. We recognise that the media are no longer purely local institutions. Instead, many of the great media organisations operate across the globe, and we incorporate that perspective into what we do on both of our programmes, MA Media Management and MA International Media Business. At the same time, media businesses and content businesses are inevitably also local businesses, and even the international players have to adapt what they do to local conditions, local tastes, local needs, and we feed that into our approach. We have the cohorts on our two programs are hail from across the globe. So every year we aim to have students from the Americas, from Europe, and from across Asia collaborating and working together on the program. We're highly entrepreneurial in our approach. All of us have been involved at various times in the business side of media and running media enterprises. and we seek to develop your entrepreneurial skills as well. Our students are currently working on a major project, which is to develop a business plan for a media product or media service. For those of you who've seen these particular formats, think Dragon's Den or Shark Tank, as Dragon's Den is often known in other markets. We develop your skills, and we help you develop plans that you can pitch to real venture capitalists and industry experts, and they judge you in the way that any investor would judge you and see if you've got a viable business plan on your hands and mark you accordingly. So very, very practical assignments, and I'll talk a bit more about that as we go through the program. As you can see, our program appeals to professionals from across the globe. Here are some of our Chevening scholars from a year ago. Scholars from Egypt, Malawi, Zimbabwe, and Brazil. All of our candidates have to have a good first degree, essentially the equivalent to a upper second in British terms. Our registry can help you in terms of how that corresponds to GPA and other rankings for your own countries. A 6.5 English language test, IELTS test, with a minimum of 6 in individual elements, and typically a minimum of a year's work experience. But we will look at candidates who have extensive internship experience. So maybe you've had 2 or 3 internships that add up to a year. Yeah, so we will consider candidates that are slightly outside of that. And we want you to be able to demonstrate that you have an interest in media management or business. And I think this is an important point. I'd like to sort of clarify what we mean by media management or media business. Media business, we're talking about the commercial sides of media work. When we talk about media management, we're talking about the managing of media companies. That might be the strategies of media companies, the HR policies of media companies, the way that companies develop new products, new ideas, new creative concepts. What we're not about is about the management of media messages. So we are not a form of public relations or public communication. And I know that in some countries the two terms are used interchangeably, and I just wanted to clarify that point at this stage of the presentation. And we can talk a bit about that later on. The slide you have here is the entrance to our faculty, a very pleasant, modern, stylish faculty in northwest London. Very, very in the style that young media professionals, I think, would expect. We're also a creative faculty, so you will be here alongside students studying the arts, design, music, and other forms of creative practice. So a little bit about our team again. We're part of the Centre for Creative Industries Management, and that brings together experts from media content, but also music and the fashion industries. And as I said before, all our academic staff have decades of experience in the media and creative industries. We're all former practitioners. We are informed in our work by research, and I think one of the important things to say about the School for Media Arts and Design is that we are a top-ranked research institution. Our 2 research institutes, Camry and Cream, are at the top of the rankings in UK research in the most recent research excellence framework. So that's me again. I have over 30 years experience in which I've written about and advised media companies, as I said to you before, across the globe, mainly on strategy and new product development, but also on issues such as production finance. I've got a background in digital media and also in software development, and I'm an active writer and researcher on matters of media management studies. I'm recently co-editor of Managing Media Firms and Industries with Gregory Ferrell Lowe from the University of Tampere. And I'm a former president of the European Media Management Association, which is the scholarly organisation representing media management in Europe. I work alongside Dr. Paul Dwyer. Paul is a former head of factual development from the BBC. Comes with an illustrious background in the BBC. And he's also an active researcher, particularly in the management of creativity in media organisations and in project production management. He's a contributor to the MA in Media Management, and he's also the leader of the MA in International Media Business, which I'll talk about a bit more later. Importantly, Paul's also the Director of Academic Enterprise for our school, and that means formulating links with industry, developing collaborations with industry, short courses, and also our new Creative Enterprise Network, which I'll say something about which I'll say something at the end of my comments this afternoon before we go into the questions. Alessandro Dama is one of our other colleagues on the programme, illustrating the fact that we are an international team. Alessandro is from Italy, and his publications include Italian Television in the Multi-Channel Age and Media and Politics in Contemporary Italy, which was published a couple of years ago. He's one of CAMRI's key researchers, and he is an expert in media economics and media policy, and he teaches our module on media markets alongside Barry Flynn. Peter Block is the former CEO of the Broadcast and Equality Training Regulator, and has a lengthy career behind him in broadcasting and in management consulting. He worked for IBM and also Price PwC as a strategy consultant. And he is course leader on one of our sister courses, the MA Global Media Business. MA Global Media Business is a course that we teach which is partly taught in China, in Beijing, in collaboration with the Communication University of China, and partly taught in the UK. Our friends from Communication University of China join us in the spring semester and are with us from January through to the end of August. And Peter and I are both involved in running that programme as well. Barry Flynn is a strategy consultant and technology analyst, and he's worked with leading companies across North America and Europe, and he also has experience in new business development and product launches, and has a very deep understanding of media technologies and in particular digital television technologies. He's also a very experienced journalist covering both print and broadcasting. Here's one of our colleagues from our music business management course, and this is one of the advantages of the cluster in which we operate, because we are able to share experience and have contributions from colleagues on other programs. And George co-leads or contributes rather to our innovation entrepreneurialism module, responding to a changing media environment. He's also interested in the nature of creativity and its motivations, and he's the only member of our team who is also a signed and BBC Radio 1 playlisted rap artist under the name of Context. So, Who is media management aimed at? Who studies media management? Well, it's primarily young media professionals who want to extend their careers into the spheres of media management or media business. Apologies for the spelling mistake in that first paragraph. When I say young media professionals, many of those coming onto our course may have an experience as journalists. They may have been producers, researchers, editors, or have occupied other roles on the creative or editorial side of media organisations. Most of our applicants want to make a transition into more senior management roles. We also appeal, and I think it's an important thing and very valuable for other students on the programme, we also appeal to media managers who want to reflect on their practice and find new ways of running their businesses. We've had some of our students have come to us with 10, 15, even 20 years of experience, and they are at a stage in their career where they are thinking about next steps. Some of our students are sent to us on taking a year out from senior or intermediate roles in media organisations. The mix of our student cohort is one of the strengths of the programme, and I think is something that brings real value to all of the participants, because as much as learning from us, the teaching staff, part of the point of this course is that you learn from each other. The image you see here is in the forum area of our faculty, where people can actually meet and work on group work or socialise. What I wanted to say at this point was the approach that we take is a very problem-solving approach to teaching, and although there is clearly an element of theory and an element of traditional academic work, essays and so on the programme, that's by no means the majority of the things that we do. We take a very practical work with practical exercises, case study learning, simulations, presentations, the pitching of ideas, foresight studies such as scenario planning, group work, and as I said before, we develop original business plans and product ideas, which we involve audiences of experts and investors in the assessment of that kind of activity. So a little bit about the programme. It takes a sort of strategic planning approach to media management. We start with analysing problems and opportunities. We then go on to synthesising solutions to those problems. And then finally, we talk about actually often the most difficult part of any management problem, the implementation of plans of action. We have 6 core taught modules, which you can see listed here, and I'm happy to talk about these in more detail later on. We also have a dissertation or a major project. Most students choose to do a traditional dissertation, but there are opportunities to do more practically applied major projects. I'm going to run quickly through the main modules. So, media management strategy, context and tools gives you a toolkit of key tools designed to help you understand the nature of the business problems facing media organisations, and also helps you to understand the nature of the competitive environment that media organisations work within. As you'll understand, it's often a very politicised environment and one where regulation is very important. And we help you develop an understanding of what competitiveness means in the media sphere. And one of the tasks you'll do is develop a competitive analysis with recommendations aimed at a specific company. Another module, which I'll give you an example of here, is responding to a changing media environment. I'm not going to talk about all of the modules. Responding media environment is about helping you come up with original media, technology or telecoms business ideas. You design the business model, you identify the size of the market, you produce a full and working business plan, and then you present it to real world investors and media professionals. It is a tough challenge, but it's one which is valued by our students, and many have gone on to set up their own businesses and apply and put into practice the plans that they've created for the project. It's hard work, but almost all of our students say it's the most enjoyable thing that they do. Here is a bunch of our students after having completed one of their plans a few years ago now, and you can see some of our one of our dragons is holding up a victory sign on the right hand of the screen. International Media Firm in Transition looks at anticipates emerging trends and impacts on media firms, and develops your talents and skills in the area of foresight. In other words, the ability to anticipate future trends and developments. Where do our employees go? Well, here are some real examples. Our employees include a Deputy Director General of Turkish Radio and Television, regulatory and policy making. We have former alumni in regulators like SAFT in China, service and product managers, strategy directors, marketing directors, sales managers, bureau chiefs, heads of research, publishing, editorial work, digital media strategy and entrepreneurship. We also, and this is an important thing, a number of our students go on to further academic, to later academic careers and take PhDs, and some are now teaching in universities around the world. What do our graduates say about us? This is Samir Pitalwala, who is a CEO of a company called Culture Machine in India. He's a Forbes India Young Business Person of the Year, and he was head of digital media for Disney UTV in India. I think media management truly laid the fundamentals for my basis in management thinking. If it was a generic management course without the skew of technology and media, I would have lost interest. Although I didn't realise it at the time, whatever I learned both in class, campus and the library shaped my understanding of the space dramatically and gave direction to my love for technology. And Samir is one of the graduates that we're very proud of indeed. So that's media management. I'll run through MA International Media Business. That's Paul Dwyer. The MA International Media Business was set up and aimed at students who are possibly at an earlier stage of their career development than the core intake for media management. Our students on MA International Media Business are not expected to have had prior experience. They may be wanting to find their first opportunities in the media and sometimes come from other disciplines. So it's a very, very, again, practically oriented degree. It focuses a bit more on content creation. So there is some hands-on production work involved. We do business planning as we do on the MA Media Management. There are elements of research in there, and we do try and get you work experience if you're on the MA International Media Business. A work experience element is built into the programme, which it isn't on MA Media Management, simply because most of our applicants on MA Media Management have already got that first foot in the door, have got that first foot on the career ladder and have already got some experience. So it's trying to do a different thing. Media production skills is one of the modules that's unique to the programme. Paul Magendi and David Dunkley-Jimmer teach that programme, and we have a particular focus on audiovisual production, but also digital media production with sort of internet and interactive applications a key part. Media markets, taught by Alessandro Dama. is about understanding the dynamics of markets for media products and services, and also being able to size and estimate rates of growth in those kinds of markets. We share the module between us, so there is some overlap between our programs. Media operations, taught by Jack Soper, is about creating new media and creative ideas, pitching them, and looking how to develop the systems and infrastructure to support their production. And again, this module is shared between media management and international media business. And there are a number of options. You can take options in PR and new media, corporate PR, brand PR, fashion and public relations, fashion marketing and branding, music industry marketing, and creativity and innovation. As I say, there is work experience, and we've had students working at all of these companies, the BBC, BBC Worldwide, Phoenix Television, Google, and Blue Rubicon. Media business strategy is taught by Barry Flynn, also one of the media management team, and media business strategy provides some of the elements that you see in media management, but in a more compressed fashion. And one of the things that you do on that module is, again, develop a business plan and develop a business plan. One thing I should say about developing business plans while you're with us at Westminster is that we do have a Tier 1 visa scheme. This is run by the university as a whole. And if you wish to enter this competition, you can present your business plan, and if you're successful, University of Westminster may sponsor you for a visa and help support the early stage of your business development. Here are some of our alumni. I won't go through all of them, but you can see working everywhere from MindBody, Disney, Google, Bloomberg, and BSI Global. Here's one of our students. I managed to secure a job at BSI Global Group, a group of companies with 25 years experience providing tourism and products and services. Last summer, I got my working permit for 3 years, which was a big success. I started as an intern and was signed to business development. In December, I received an award from the CEO for successful implementation of a CRM system into all companies that operate under the umbrella. One of the things that many of our students find, and this includes students that we have working at Sky Television, is that they all say that the skills that they develop and acquire on our programs have helped them not just appeal to employers, but also perform within the business environment. Often they've found that they have a much better grounding than many of their counterparts. I won't go into this in much detail because I've already mentioned the Centre for Creative Industries Management. Simply that we are growing as a centre of excellence, both in the teaching and the researching of the different disciplines that we cover. And increasingly, we're trying to encourage cross-fertilisation between these different disciplines and these different areas of expertise. One final thing, a new development, the Creative Network, the Creative Enterprise Network. We are, under Paul Dwyer's direction, we have developed a new Creative Enterprise Network working across the faculty, designed to help our students develop both their entrepreneurial skills and their links to industry and the opportunities that they face. And there'll be more. We'll be making more announcements on the activities of this new service during the coming year. But I think it's something that already our students are taking significant advantage of. So that's a very, very quick overview of our two courses and of what we do within the cluster. And I look forward to answering your questions.
So the first one I wanted to cover is what are the potential job prospects after graduation, and what the support is there for getting the jobs afterwards, and also internships during the program.
Okay. Our students go into jobs in media industries throughout the world. So we have our students work from everywhere from Globo TV in Brazil through to NDTV in India, in television, in newspapers, in digital media, music, you name it. They are working. They are working in those industries. Clearly, many of our students go back to their own countries. We use our networks where possible to help our students find opportunities, and we certainly, to our former students, if we hear about any opportunities that are relevant to them, we pass those on. Clearly, there are issues for international students, and when I say international students, I mean students that are from outside of the European Union, in terms of post-work study visas. I don't think there's really time to go into those particular conditions at this point, and there is plenty of information available online about that particular subject. But there are very, very strict criteria in terms of the opportunities that one can pursue. Typically, the job has to be one that is a salary over, I think, £20,000, and there are rather strict criteria. We will do everything we can to help students find and pursue opportunities. Similarly, we will help our students where we can to find internships whilst they are here in the UK within the terms of their visa conditions. And many of our students do get internships both at UK-based media companies, but also ones that have links to their home companies. For example, there's a very well-known Chinese production company called Patela TV, which a number of our students have done internships with. So there isn't one single answer to that. The MA Media Management does not have an internship built into it as part of its structure. The MA International Media Business does, because, as I said, it tends to be aimed at students that are at an earlier stage of their career development.
Okay. We have a question about, as you discussed optional modules in the latter course, are there any optional modules in media management?
At the moment, no. The reason is that because we were designed from the outset as basically a core module oriented program. There's a very, very particular narrative that runs through the course. We are trying within its current structure to develop your skills based around a sort of process, the process I mentioned earlier of the identification of problems and opportunities, the synthesis of solutions to problems and opportunities, and then implementation. So it was designed from the outset as a core-only program. That's different on the international media business where there is an optional slot there. So that's doing a different thing. So if you wanted to actually do something that had more options in it, international media business may be your route. On the other hand, if you want to do something that actually goes deeper into media management and media business problems, then media management is probably your pathway. I should say that our students, our cohorts, don't actually have much of a problem with there not being any options. I've never had a complaint about it.
How are you assessed during the courses?
Okay, the good news here is we don't do exams. So it's all entirely based on coursework. And when I say coursework, that means assignments during the program and then finally a dissertation or major project at the end. Now that doesn't mean it's easy because there is a lot of coursework and a lot for you to do. Some of it is done as individual assignments, some of it is done as group work. Group work's very important on the programme. Most of our work is very practical in its nature. Being a master's degree, there has to be some theory, but a lot of it is to do with producing deliverables and assignments that have a practical dimension to them. They may be a proposal for a new program or a new media product. It may be a business plan. It may be a presentation. It may be a management report of some kind. But all of our, as I say, we aim to develop your, what we call in education, transferable skills, the skills that you can take from the course into the workplace. Very, very practical skills. As I say, a combination of the individual and the group.
Our next question is asking about what are the support structures that are available at the university and the resources available to help study this course.
Okay. We run a study skills course run by a new full-time colleague of ours, Doug Specht. Doug had developed a year or so ago a new study skills program for us, which has been incredibly popular. And our students have found enormously useful, developing their scholarly skills, developing their skills in writing, in presentation, and in important things such as referencing and understanding about academic standards and so on. And so we've put real resource into that particular area. We have advisors attached to our library who can help you with advice on your writing and developing your scholarship skills. We do not expect our students, even at the end of the programme, to necessarily have, even within their assignments, perfect idiomatic English. We're not an English course. Although we will, through our tutorial support, we will do everything that we can to help you improve your English. The main thing is that you're able to communicate clearly and to be able to make yourself understood. And we would never mark people down simply on their facility with arcane uses of academic or professional English, because we are an international programme and that is something we embrace rather than putting hurdles in your place.
Okay, and the last question from here is what is the structure of the course in terms of lectures and seminars and workshops?
Okay, most of our programs, you're typically talking about 2 full days, maybe 2.5 days in class or in workshops. So that is the actual contact time. That doesn't mean that you won't be dealing with members of staff outside of that structure. In the UK, and Westminster is by no means unusual in this, in the UK there is a big emphasis on self-directed learning and problem-based learning and working on your own and with groups. So we certainly have formal lectures, we have seminars, we have group work, all of which is, as I say, structured over 2 to 2.5 days a week. But you will be expected to be doing other work outside of that on your own. And in addition to all of that, you will also be having things such as tutorials and other forms of support. You get we are in constant dialogue with our students via email, social media, and other forms of communication as our students are working on their projects and their assignments. And so, it's a quite mixed picture. If, of course, you're doing international media business and you're doing a practical course, then you may be spending time in a studio or in a digital lab. On the media management program, the kinds of tools that you'll be working with or the production equipment you'll be working with may well tend to be flip charts, post-it notes, spreadsheets, and other business tools, because this is about the business of media. Although, when it comes to doing presentations, many of our students also go and produce promotional videos and other types of electronic supporting marketing collateral as well. And thank you for all attending, and I hope to be speaking or seeing you in the autumn.